I'm reacting to your Saturday night's main event hot takes. This is a fake smile. I'm dying inside after what happened to the Blue Jays last night. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me over on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. And if you are looking for my full review of this episode of Saturday night's main event with footage, that's going to be up and available over on patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we upload PLE reviews, Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and a whole bunch of other videos and series that we can never post here because they would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, that's enough. Let's jump into it. The Jey Uso experiment ended tonight. That rocket must be off forever. That main event was painful to watch, but at least it picked up towards the end. I wouldn't use the word painful. It wasn't particularly beautiful. I would say like 3/4 of the match was a pretty boring, pretty uninspiring match, but that last final quarter of the match was genuinely PLE levels of excitement. I was on the edge of my seat, mostly because I was genuinely afraid, genuinely concerned for the well-being of this community because Jey Uso looked like he was about to win like 3 different times. Now you say that the Jey Uso experiment is over? I don't think so. I still think that somewhere between now and the next 8 months, Jey Uso is going to be given a World Heavyweight Championship so that we can continue to create these parallels between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was known for being a champion, and if you're trying to make Jey like Roman Reigns, I think he's going to become champion. I don't particularly love that, but I do think that where the story is going, I think that at some point, Jey Uso is going to sacrifice anything that makes him good to become a world champion like Roman. So no, I don't think that the Jey Uso experiment is over. I think that the Jey Uso experiment, unfortunately for many people, is just getting started. Now that Dominik Mysterio won the triple threat match, we are now one step closer to Dominik versus John Cena at Survivor Series. Now that we know Cena's final opponent will be chosen in a tournament, I think whoever wins the match can be someone who can possibly win against Cena if he wins the IC title. A lot of things up in the air right now. We were told at Saturday night's main event the details of John Cena's final retirement match on December 13th edition of Saturday night's main event, that the opponent will be somebody that wins a tournament. And I honestly really like the idea, but I want to focus on what you're talking about here regarding Dominik Mysterio. When I look at the landscape of what's next, I think it has to be John Cena for Dominik Mysterio. When I look at what's next for John Cena, I think it needs to be Dominik Mysterio. I think they just complement each other so well right now that they absolutely should start a program here on this upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw. There's not much left for Cena to do. It's his retirement, a couple of appearances on Monday Night Raw, and Survivor Series War Games. And when I look at this match that he could have at Survivor Series War Games, the only major thing left for him to do before he retires is to become a Grand Slam champion. And the one holding the championship, preventing him from becoming a Grand Slam champion, is Dominik Mysterio. And Dominik versus John Cena is a matchup that fans have been clamoring for during this John Cena retirement tour. It's literally too perfect to not do. And I do think that Dominik is done with Penta, done with Rusev. I think that that was a really fun program, a solid month of shenanigans between all of them. It does look like Penta and Rusev are going to go off and do their own thing for a while, which does sort of leave Dominik Mysterio on an island by himself that should get visited by none other than the one tourist named John Cena. That's exactly how Jey should have won, crushing Tiffany Stratton and coming off as SmackDown's top heel. 1,000,000%. I didn't think that WWE would go ahead and do this. I knew that Jade Cargill was going to win. They were already kind of telegraphing it by telling us that Tiffany Stratton was hurt. The classic, my ribs hurt, I have them all bandaged up, so I'm not 100% because WWE's too scared to have their top baby faces lose unless they're hurt in some capacity. That plus the fact that Jade Cargill just turned heel, all of that put together just screamed that we were going to get a new champion. In fact, I felt like we needed a new champion. That isn't really to say that I didn't like Tiffany Stratton as a champion. I just feel like her time was up, right? I don't think that there was anybody else left for Tiffany Stratton because of how thin that division was. So now it was time for a change. And with Jade Cargill turning heel and becoming the top heel on Friday Night SmackDown, it just was the perfect time to pull the trigger on this. I just love how they did it. I love that it was a squash match. Sure, the knee was hurt, but that's fine, whatever. But it still made Jade Cargill come off like an awesome mega monster, something that is desperately needed right now in the women's division across both Raw and SmackDown, because the only one that has been able to play this role of like unstoppable monster heel that's stronger than anybody has been, say with me, Nia Jax. Now, this could replace Nia Jax so that we aren't always getting Nia Jax feuds every 3 months. I think this is great. Obviously, this begs the question, who the hell is even going to step up to Jade Cargill unless your name is Bianca Belair? Jade Cargill winning the title is a great and needed change. However, if they don't get some new names in the SmackDown division, it'll be a repeat of Tiffany's reign. So a lot of people were rejoicing that Tiffany's reign was over because it wasn't a good reign. I'm here to unfortunately rain on your parade that this doesn't solve the problem, the fundamental issue with Tiffany's reign. Tiffany's reign, no one's going to sit here and tell you wholeheartedly that it's because Tiffany Stratton is a bad champion, because she's bad at this thing called professional wrestling. I don't think her reign was very good because WWE didn't give her a good reign, because WWE didn't give her good storylines, because WWE didn't have a deep enough roster of heels to go up against Tiffany Stratton. Think about it. Like, it was pretty much just what, Jade Cargill and Nia Jax for the entire time, with the exception of the one feud with Charlotte Flair. So this brings us back to the problem, right? It could be the exact same issue with Jade Cargill. When I look at the depth of the SmackDown women's baby faces, it's literally just Tiffany Stratton at the moment, sadly, unless you bring out Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss out of the women's tag team division, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that anytime soon, which is why I go back to the previous hot take, which I said it's literally just Bianca Belair. It is possible that they might not need to get an opponent here for Jade Cargill anytime soon if they can find a way to insert Jade Cargill into whatever women's War Games program they plan on doing. That'll give them like a solid 2 months of leeway of not having to find anybody for Jade Cargill to feud with, because, well, if they can make her part of the women's War Games program, they don't really need to do anything for December because the focus is John Cena's retirement tour, and then after that it's the Royal Rumble, which I'm sure will have all of the baby faces focused on that as opposed to the championship. So this gives WWE some leeway to build the women's baby faces on SmackDown. But again, the problem persists. It's still there. The same issue that plagued Tiffany Stratton's reign right now at face value is still there. That's not fixed.
We're refusing to. Here we go. Oh, God, he barely made it. Dude, there's a fire in the ring, dude.
Curly and Triple A. Oh, God!
Oh, my God!
That was a sneak peek of this week's Horror Week Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're going to be looking at the hellacious Hell in a Cell match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. The 3 stages of Hell match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H. The infamous WCW Chamber of Horrors match from 1991. The barbed wire Christmas tree match from TNA. And the Undertaker and Kane in their famous 1999 Inferno match. You're going to be getting all of this, plus the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, the currently ongoing John Cena World Championship Series, and all of the videos and series that we've already uploaded there over on patreon.com/SantiZap. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. We obviously can't post this stuff here on YouTube because it would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out over there. I'm confident that if you try it even for just 1 month, that you are going to fall in love with the content and the community. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. Now let's get you back to the video. Are WWE trying to get people to turn on Cody Rhodes? Not only has the booking been weird with him cheating to win, but his run as champion, especially the second run, has been very dull. They are dropping the ball with what should be good feuds, or just doing the same stuff month on end. To play devil's advocate, I suppose, he has been champion during what is typically the dull period of the WWE. Post SummerSlam to about Survivor Series War Games is generally when we get the most dull booking for our champions, so it's not particularly surprising that he's been a dull champion. His only feud really for the World Championship so far has been Drew McIntyre. WrestlePalooza was a dud. We knew that nothing was going to happen of substance at Saturday night's main event. They have one more match to salvage this feud with Drew McIntyre, because if the entire trilogy is a dud, then I can't really come up with any saving grace to explain why it's dull. But I agree, the booking has been dull. I think it's a little weird to have your top babyface cheat to win and then celebrate as if he's, you know, the best thing since sliced bread, when literally the night before he's telling us about how nice guys can win because he's now the nice guy that's here. And he clearly proved to us that that's literally not the case, because he had to be a bad guy to win. I don't know. I don't think that people are going to turn on Cody Rhodes. I think that we need to know a little bit more over the next couple of months. I think people also thought that his run in last fall was also pretty dull, and then Kevin Owens came along and made it all interesting again. So I think I'd be more judgmental of this if things are still this way come like January, February. This is why a healthy competition is important. Absolutely. And it goes both ways, right? It's so great to see people from WWE be able to go to AEW, to TNA, to the independents, which is flourishing over the last several years, to New Japan, to organizations around the world, and be able to make money, have a living, and succeed. And it goes the other way around as well. Those that were in AEW and TNA and the indies being able to come back to WWE or debut in WWE and make a living and make money and be successful. This is great all around. That picture of those from AEW to WWE that are now currently champions that CM Punk posted of him, Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill, and Ricky Saints as champion, I saw it as, you know, the health of professional wrestling being as good as it's ever been. But of course, a lot of people online saw it as some tribalism rage bait. I agree. I think having as many healthy wrestling organizations as possible is what's ultimately going to deliver me and you the best available product. I prayed for this and it happened. This was definitely the right decision, and I'm glad WWE did it. Now Punk can have a proper title reign. So yes, CM Punk is our new world heavyweight champion in 2025. Now what? When I look at what CM Punk would have been doing in the normal landscape, it would have probably been this ever-revolving feud with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is no longer there, and he won't be there for the next 6 months, apparently. Then again, we have to just treat all of those pieces of information with not just a grain, but an entire truckload of salt if the information is coming from Seth Rollins. But if Seth Rollins isn't there, then what is the play here for CM Punk? There's, of course, LA Knight that's immediately available, but I don't even think that that's a viable option, considering they just had LA Knight lose to a guy that also wants the World Heavyweight Championship in Braun Breaker, a guy that WWE seems to clearly be ready to crown as the next big thing of the WWE. So is it Braun Breaker immediately that quickly? Because if it is, then when you say I'm glad that he's finally going to have a proper title reign, is he? Like, how quickly is WWE going to pull the trigger on Braun Breaker? How long can WWE keep Braun Breaker away from the World Heavyweight Championship without it becoming annoyingly obnoxious? When I look at what's left in the year, right, I think it's pretty clear cut that CM Punk is going to hold the World Heavyweight title until at the very least the Royal Rumble. He probably won't defend at Survivor Series War Games. He'll probably be part of whatever War Games match they decide to cook up. He probably won't have anything of substance in December because the focus of that will be John Cena's retirement, and then January will be the build up to the Royal Rumble. So we might be looking at a 2, 3, maybe 3.5 month reign before people are going to start asking questions of when are we going to get Braun Breaker? Is it going to be Braun Breaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania? Like, are we looking at Braun Breaker's road to the World Heavyweight Championship going through the Royal Rumble? That's sure a possibility. And if that's the case, then we aren't looking at Braun Breaker winning until WrestleMania, which actually does give CM Punk like a solid 6-month reign as World Heavyweight Champion. And that is a good world to live in. Quote, faces that don't even work here. What if? I know I'm delusional. Yes, people are going absolutely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs with what John Cena said at Saturday night's main event, that there will be a tournament to decide who will be the final opponent, and that tournament will encompass superstars from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and even some people that don't even work here, which of course has people jumping to all kinds of crazy solutions to, oh my God, are we going to get people from New Japan? Are we going to get freaking Edge from AEW coming over as the whole Andrade contract leverage saga thing is going on? I don't think that's going to be the case. It's probably going to be people from TNA. I just don't think that it's going to all of a sudden be this insane forbidden door that gets open. I want to be wrong, by the way. I think if we do get a forbidden door type of entry that is in TNA, it might be people that are currently in the indies that used to be part of WWE proper. I really hope that this is a setup for a Drew McIntyre victory on ESPN at Survivor Series, because if it's not, I genuinely don't see what's next for him. He's lost nearly all of his feuds the last year and just keeps getting screwed over. At least he's making a bag from it. So it does seem like now almost everybody is in the same wavelength that I was in, that WWE isn't going to make these fundamental storyline changes on not ESPN moving forward. It's the reason why I never thought that Cody Rhodes was in any danger of losing the WWE Championship. But the next PLE, we're back on the road with ESPN, and I do think that the world title could change hands there, especially if they don't want to absolutely bury Drew McIntyre, because if he loses 3 in a row to Cody Rhodes after having lost the feud with Damian Priest, I don't know what's next for Drew McIntyre, like you're saying here. Cody Rhodes is going to be fine, win or lose. In fact, if he loses, it might make him more interesting, because Cody Rhodes is always best when he's chasing the championship, if you ask me. They can absolutely experiment with Drew McIntyre being a short-term transitional champion if they want to, just to, at the very least, keep Drew happy and his fans happy as well. In Cena's announcement, he said people who are not working in the company, the first man who came to mind was him. He needs to be part of this somehow. Well, we've already had formerly Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, make an appearance recently on WWE TV, having a match with Josh Briggs on NXT. So it's there, right? Like, and I do think it's a no-brainer to have Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona be part of this tournament. They do have history. In fact, enough history where I hope that Cardona's match happens on a Monday Night Raw episode that John Cena is at, so that him and John Cena could have a backstage segment, so that John Cena can apologize for cucking Zack Ryder all of those years ago with Eva Marie. The most exciting part about a Jey Uso match is the fear of him possibly winning. You know, I know you're saying this as an insult to Jey Uso because you don't want to see Jey Uso win, but you're kind of right. Like, the drama of the Jey Uso versus CM Punk match came not because it was this technical marvel of professional wrestling. The drama came because there were so many moments where I genuinely believed that Jey Uso was going to be our next world heavyweight champion. And although I wouldn't have been a huge fan of it, I think to me, the excitement of that happening, or the drama, or like you said, being scared of that happening, was enough to get me super engaged in this match. Because had Jey Uso won, there is a morbid curiosity inside of me that wanted to see how this internet wrestling community would have imploded on itself if it happened. Best Saturday night's main event so far. However, if it wasn't for the injuries that forced WWE to crown new champions, I think that this would have been just another skippable episode of Saturday night's main event. Yeah, I saw a lot of people saying, oh my God, Saturday night's main event is now this must-watch thing. They're doing important, super must-watch things that you can't miss on Saturday night's main event. I actually agree with you here. I think that the title changes and the crowning of a new champion that happened at Saturday night's main event was like borderline like necessity, as opposed to WWE wanting to make Saturday night's main event this must-watch thing. But then again, it meant a better show for all of us, so who am I to complain? But I don't think that, like, beyond John Cena's retirement tour, that Saturday night's main event is all of a sudden this must-watch on par of a PLE type of show, sadly. If it's not on ESPN, I just don't think that super major things are going to happen unless they are required to happen, like in this episode. The one writing Dom's stories and match scenarios is an absolute genius. They've elevated his character so much, turning him into a fan favorite, even though he's technically a heel. Yeah, I'm going to continue to scream this from the rooftops. Dominik Mysterio, in the last month and a half of his championship reign, has elevated himself more than the rest of his championship reign combined. You're right. Whoever is writing this stuff for Dominik Mysterio deserves a freaking Emmy, because this is the most engaging thing on Monday Night Raw, if you ask me. It's borderline like the most cohesive storytelling happening across all of WWE right now. What's happening with Dominik Mysterio? And we are kind of getting to that precipice where he's becoming super, uber, mega popular. That's exactly what ended up happening with Eddie Guerrero. And eventually he won a championship, a WWE championship, off the back of that popularity. I'm growing really tired of Dom's IC title matches. I understand what they're going for, making him similar to Eddie, but cheating in every single match is tiring. I think he's a great wrestler, but something has to change. But like, what needs to change? What's wrong with him cheating? His whole character is that he's dirty. His whole character is that he cheats. His whole character is that he's not good enough to stand toe-to-toe physically against guys like Penta, against guys like Rusev. It's his brain, it's his ingenuity, it's his dirtiness that allows him to get on par with these characters. To me, changing it simply because it happens too often, I think is just the wrong move. What's the alternative? What? He starts winning all of his matches clean and all of a sudden he becomes clean, dirty Dominik Mysterio? That doesn't make any sense. I disagree with you. I love what they're doing here with Dominik Mysterio cheating to win, finding new creative ways, the way that he rang the bell to trick Rusev into thinking that he won the match. Like, these are brilliant decisions for Dominik Mysterio. The lack of commercials was the biggest W we saw all night. Right there. So a lot of people are saying that they really like this episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. I don't think it's because of like the actual substance of the show. I think it's because there were no commercials. So you were able to enjoy the show like a PLE, even if it was 2 hours without the constant interruptions. This right here is the huge benefit of this no longer being on regular TV airwaves on NBC. This right here single-handedly made this the best episode of Saturday Night's Main Event. Not the booking decisions, not the matches, just having no commercials made this a significantly more cohesive wrestling show. All right, folks, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for submitting in your Saturday Night's Main Event hot takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Jays. Goddamn Jays. Get out of here.